When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want to get access to any of my early content, check out the Discord. This is the Second Chance of Life, Part 3, the arrival of Floronic Man. Now, let's continue where I last left off. Rose watching the show develop in front of her as Batman finally acted, so did Killer Croc. Killer Croc launched forward and tried to take a chunk out of Bruce by trying to trap Batman in his jaws, only for Batman to leap over Killer Croc's bite as Bruce landed on the top of Killer Croc's snout and ran on his back. Killer Croc, laying Batman on his back, immediately tried to get him off of him by swinging his arms wildly. Batman had to use his grappling hook to a nearby tree to dodge Killer Croc's tail that slammed where he was when he jumped. Before Batman landed on the branch of the tree, he threw several exploding batarangs that landed in the back of Killer Croc. Killer Croc, well, I forgot to put that on her. Well, I forgot to add that. Give me a second, guys. Forgot to put no disturb on my tablet. Now, let's continue forward. As the exploding batarangs landed onto Killer Croc's back, Killer Croc was forced by the force of the explosion to step several steps forward from the impact of the major explosions from the exploding batarangs. Despite Rose's interests earlier, much like a child, she eventually got bored watching, no longer interested, not liking the loud noises and the bright flashes of light coming from the miniature explosions. As Rose turned around to recede further into the swamp, leaving the area where Batman is fighting Killer Croc. After Rose left, Batman initiated his plan. Bruce jumped down from the tree and landed and threw out several exploding batarangs at Killer Croc. Killer Croc was forced to cross his arms across his face. From previous experience with Batman exploding batarangs, Killer Croc learned from his past experience using the same tactic to defeat him in the past. So he made sure to protect his face and eyes. Might be small explosions, but they will impair his vision for a brief moment, and that would give Batman plenty of time to demonstrate his superior methods over his opponent. Killer Croc has seen Batman in action many times. You just have to leave an opening slightly and the bat will capitalize on it. He has experienced defeat by the hands of Batman many times, so he's fully aware how dangerous the Bat can be. Once the explosions stop, Killer Croc swung his right fist, trying to land a solid hit on the Bat, only for Batman to duck under his fist, then proceed to slam his foot in the back of the knee of Killer Croc, forcing Killer Croc to one knee, bending down, as Batman grabbed Killer Croc by the face and slammed his knee into Killer Croc's snout repeatedly. Killer Croc simply backhand Batman away. Despite the impact that Bruce took, he only slid to a stop. He easily recovered in midair, then basically slid to a stop before Batman could do anything else. Further, Bruce got a can sense something coming his way, as a blue and red blur flew past Bruce. As Bruce, knowing who this is, relaxes, as Superman flashed right in front of Killer Croc and slammed his fist into Killer Croc's stomach, making Killer Croc cough up spit. Then Clark uppercut Killer Croc. Before Killer Croc could go flying, Clark appeared right above Killer Croc and connected both his fists together and slammed a Hail Mary, slamming Killer Croc right back into the ground, as Killer Croc made a large crater as he was completely unconscious. Saw you having trouble there, Bruce. Had everything under control, Clark. Sure you did, my friend. Anyways, you're a long way from Gotham. I was following a lead. I wasn't expecting to encounter Killer Croc here. Especially being so close to the territory of Swamp Thing, I might have to pay him a visit. So what exactly are we dealing with? There's no we. I appreciate your help, Clark. But these are my villains from my city. They're my problem. It's not like I'm dealing with the Joker. It's Bane. And he must have hired Killer Croc for extra muscle. That's a shame. You know I'm willing to help, Bruce. I know, Clark. I think you have better things to do than hunt down some villains from Gotham. How's the investigation going with the arrival of Poison Ivy? We lost track of her. She clearly doesn't want to be found. You don't think she's still a threat? No. Poison Ivy's many things. But I don't think she'll attempt what she did last time. She most likely secluded herself in one of her many gardens that's located around the world. We'll leave her for now. So you need to ride back to Gotham? No, I got my own ride. As the Batjet came flying by, as Bruce aimed his grappling hook at the jet. Once the jet flew by, Bruce flew alongside it and used the grappling hook to get it on top of the jet and slide into the cockpit and head back to Gotham. He needs to investigate some things before he even attempts to approach Swamp Thing. Entering his domain would either be extremely dangerous or he'll be extremely welcoming. It all depends on Swamp Thing's mood. After all, he is the avatar of the Green. He's not going to delude himself to think he knows everything about that subject, the Green. But he knows enough to prepare, just in case. Leaving Killer Croc to Superman. Clark sighed to himself, knowing that he left Killer Croc in his hands. That's so like him to do something like that. Clark grabbed Killer Croc and flew off, dropping him off to the authorities that are properly prepared to contain Killer Croc and head back to Metropolis. Meanwhile, Rose was trying to find a good place to get some rest. She was feeling extremely tired. Rose eventually found a suitable location as Rose created an eclipse flower. It didn't take long for the eclipse flower to answer Rose's call, as the eclipse flower bursts from the ground. She's still in the swamp, but in a solid piece of land. There's not a whole lot of solid ground in the swamp, but there's pieces scattered all around. Once the eclipse flower grew big enough, once Rose was satisfied with her plant, she hopped on top of the flower and lay down and began to watch the stars in the sky as it started to get dark. As Rose could hear all of the insects making noises when night officially began. Slowly, the eclipse flower begins to close its petals, concealing Rose inside. As Rose closed her eyes and fell into a slumber, when morning hit, the eclipse flower slowly begins to lower down its petals. As Rose opened her eyes, noticing it's morning already, but something felt off, different. It was too quiet, and Rose could feel pure killer she could sense pure killer intent emanating all around her, and Rose is clearly disturbed by this feeling. As Rose tightened her small hands into fists, as Rose walked off the edge of the eclipse flower and landed on the soft dirt and ground and made her way over to the water of the swamp. As she proceeds to walk on top of the water once again, trying to pinpoint the source of the uneasy feeling that she feels all around her in the part of the swamp she's in. Somewhere in the highest point of the swamp, where Rose is currently at, floronic, or he has many names: Plant Master, Floronic Man, is on top of a large branch of one of the common trees you will find in this swamp, as he's watching the girl walk on top of the water. Interesting. Now that I'm closer, I could definitely sense it, that presence. This girl produces quite a similar aura and a connection to the green compared to poison ivy. They're definitely connected some way. And the red hair is a big giveaway. A test is required. As Floronic Man command one of his many creations to attack the girl, to see what she's really capable of. While Rose was walking on top of the water, she sensed danger immediately. Rose immediately jumped to the side as a large wooden claw sliced through the water where she was originally standing. As a humongous humanoid tree-like monster could be seen. What do you want, you Tainted thing? Tainted thing, basically. Your death, child of the green. Log rushed towards running through the water, through the swamp water, and threw out another claw slash, only for Rose to grab one of his claws with her bare hands, stopping his momentum. Log narrowed his eyes, seeing the small, weak child of the green grabbing onto his claw and pushing him back. Then it happened. Log's claw started to erode away as the poison began to spread. Log used his other claw to chop off the part of his arm from the poison coursing through the rest of his body. As Log immediately had to jump out of the way as black spike vines came bursting out of the water. As one of the vines slammed across his chest, sending the tree-like monster skidding across the water. Log, now realizing this child of the green is extremely dangerous, as his severed limb begins to regrow right back into a new wooden claw. You bitch, you're gonna pay for that. Log couldn't see her as he begins to look around frantically, trying to locate Rose, as he heard a voice near his ear, as Rose appeared sitting on his shoulder. No, you're the one who's gonna die, you tainted thing. As Rose gently placed her hand on the side of his head, as the wooden head begins to erode away, like the wood is melting, Rose leaped off of his shoulder, while Log swung his claws wildly, trying to hit Rose, as his eyesight has been eroded away through the poison, as the poison spread through his entire body, as the wooden monster started to fall apart piece by piece. As pieces was falling off, only thing left was the corroded pieces of wood floating onto the water surface. Quite fascinating, daughter of Ivy, as he watched his own creations die from his perch on top of one of the largest tree, watching Rose from a safe distance. She'll definitely be useful. I just got the most evilest idea. Oh yes, payback will be mine. Mark my words, Swamp Thing. Your time will come alongside with you, Poison Ivy. I can't wait to see the look on your face when you finally find out that I used your own daughter to seek my vengeance. That floronic man start to laugh with a pure evil tone. Now it's time to set the stage. That floronic man has a devilish grin on his wooden face. Floronic man contact all of his creations he created and let loose in the swamp, trying to get Swamp Thing's attention. But instead of all his creations are going to target Rose, I'll simply just have to let her struggle for a little bit. Then I'll swoop in and act like the hero. Manipulating a new child of the green should be fairly easy. Meanwhile, Rose just stared down at the remains of the corrupted creature she fought, as she has a frown on her face. As several more of the same creatures appeared, all falling from the sky, landing all around her, surrounding her on all sides. as all the log creatures, I'm just calling them logs because it's easier that way to identify them, all extend their wooden claws outwards. All of the logs lash towards Rose in all directions. But despite their greater numbers, Rose was gracefully dodging around every wooden claw that came her way. Rose closed her eyes and continued to dodge around all of the claw slashes that's coming from all the hostile plant life, as she grabbed one of them by the wrist and threw him away as the log creature skid across the water right into a tree hard. Rose performed it seamlessly. She didn't even stop dodging while she threw him away like trash. And she did this all with her eyes closed, only using her abilities to sense the corrupted creatures or plant life. The fact that these creatures were emanating killer intent, it wasn't hard for her to pinpoint the negative emotions. Rose is a creature of of nature. She doesn't need her eyes to see. Rose, while she's still dodging, Rose created a black rose that turned into a black rose whip. As she hit all of the logs at the same time in the chest, making them go skidding backwards across the water. Before the rest of the logs could counterattack, Rose eroded poison started to spread through their chest. Where the logs were hit by the rose whip from Rose, eventually killing them. Rose was about to continue to the last remaining one that's slowly eroding away as she felt vibrations in the water. Rose cut the remaining log in half with her whip. As Rose turned her head towards the large amount of trees can be seen moving. As Rose could tell, whatever is moving past these trees, or whatever type of creature it is, it's big. It didn't take long for the creature to get to Rose's location, as Rose can see a tree-like monster that is walking on all fours with horns, casually walking through trees of the swamp, like it's a daily stroll. Rose had to look up at the creature to see it properly. It was at least 4 times bigger than the log creatures that she fought earlier. The tree beast was large, about the size of a small building. It clearly towers over Rose because of her small stature. Even the log creatures stood over her. Once the large tree beast noticed Rose, it immediately charged forward, trying to run her down. Rose gently placed her foot ahead of her as she leaped in the middle of the air. Rose, who's currently in the middle of the air, upside down, then she created several black leaf shurikens in both of her hands as she threw them at the tree beast. Once the black leaf shurikens made contact, they exploded. As Rose begins to throw more, each black leaf shuriken, there is a very small fruit in the middle of the shuriken that will explode on impact. It's a mixture between a leaf shuriken and a exploding fruit. Rose eventually rotated her body to land softly on top of the water in a gentle skid. But sadly, Rose conflicted minimal amounts of damage onto the tree beast. All she accomplished was making it more angry. The tree beast swung his right limb. Rose couldn't move fast enough to dodge out of the way, so she caught the humongous limb with both of her hands and stopped the beast's movement. As there was a power struggle, as Rose dug her fingers into the wooden limb of the tree beast, displaying her superior strength. As the water begins to ripple around her and the tree beast, Rose's eyes widened when she saw the tree beast open its mouth and charging up solar energy. Rose immediately stopped the power struggle and leaped backwards, only for the concentrated solar energy beam to shoot out of the mouth of the behemoth, in a beam of energy. Rose, by instinct, reached out her right hand. When the beam of energy got close enough, Rose immediately absorbed it. Rose, realizing she can't keep all this energy inside her body, she's still far too young, released it out of the palm of her hand, directly at the tree beast, severely damaging it. The tree beast let out a screech and began to charge forward. The behemoth started to move faster than previous and slammed its shoulder into Rose as Rose was hit hard into a nearby tree. As the tree beast approached Rose, ready to either stomp on her or straight up eat her. "Stay down, little one." A floronic man appeared right above the tree beast. A floronic man created several wooden attacks as tree-sized spikes or stakes was shot towards the beast. Rose, seeing the chance, immediately bolted towards and touched the tree beast as she released a heavy dose of her eroded poison that slowly begins to travel up the tree beast's body. Rose continued to release dose after dose as she's breathing heavy until the entire beast was engulfed in her eroded poison, killing it eventually. Rose immediately turned around to floronic man as several more black vines came bursting out of the water, ready to pounce at the slightest hint of hostility. "Relax, young one. I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to help. It's not very often a child of the grain is created." "Who are you?" Rose can't sense any negative emotions coming from this plant life form, like herself. Different, but she could tell. Floronic man managed to keep his true nature hidden from the girl and tried to put the kindest face he can as he gave her a smile. "They call me Floronic man, or Plant Master. Call me whatever you like, young one. I only came here to assist you, little one." And why would you do that? "You're a child of the grain. You're an ally." What was that creature anyways? And about the other ones that attacked me? Those were the creations of a great evil called the Swamp Thing. I originally was the avatar of the grain until Swamp Thing got jealous and killed me. When I wasn't looking, when I was at my weakest. Because a, because I was the avatar of the Grin, I managed to revive myself, but barely. He is responsible for the plant life trying to attack you. Sadly, you caught his eye, and Swamp Thing won't rest until he sends more of his corrupted minions to kill you, to kill us both. I see, so this Swamp Thing, I understand. He needs to be removed. Floronic Man turned his head away from Rose to hide his massive grin. Or Floronic Man's inner thoughts. Manipulating this girl's gonna be a whole lot easier. As long as I hide my true nature, I'll be able to get her to do whatever I want. But first, I need to gain her trust. But Rose interrupted his inner thoughts. Where's this Swamp Thing at? Not so fast, little one. You're not ready to face that evil entity yet. Explain, as Rose tilts her head to the side. I'll teach you how to use your abilities. You're good with the abilities you have access to, but you've only scratched the surface of your potential. Teach you to do so much more. Allow me to bring out your potential, young one. What do you say? Her interest is piqued from him mentioning he was going to teach her, as Rose formed a smile on her face. When Floronic Man extended his hand out for Rose to shake, as Rose shake his big hand with her small, only be able to wrap her hand around his finger. After all, she's only body, physically wise, I think I said she was that 4 or 5. So she's not, she's still quite small. I'm Rose. It's very nice to meet you, Rose. You have much to learn, and we have so little time before the Swamp Thing finds out. Understood. When do we begin? We'll start soon. We'll start once we leave this area. I have no doubt the battle will attract the Swamp Thing's attention. Follow me, Rose. Not expecting anything he said to be a lie, Rose followed the tall-looking humanoid tree, Floronic Man, or whatever, only looked back to see Rose following him, as he had a smirk on his face. Everything is going according to his plan. Only thing he needs to figure out is how useful Rose can be to him. Rose followed Floronic Man until they got to a secluded area of the swamp away from the battlefield where they were just at. This will do. Show me how you've been using your abilities, your powers. Rose demonstrate creating and manipulating of plant life by creating several black spike vines that burst out of the ground. Then she showed Floronic Man her leaf exploding shurikens by throwing one of them at a nearby rock, destroying it. Quite impressive. A question, Rose. Were you always able to do that? Yes, as she said clearly. You have a good foundation of your abilities, your powers. We'll just add on to that. I want you to close your eyes and sense the green. You're a child of the green. This would be quite easy for you to tap into the green. Nothing happened at first. Then the water started to react as it began to swirl around her. As she's surrounded by swirling water around her. Like something, like the moment she connected to the green, like something was unlocked. Fascinating. So you have some level of manipulation of water. Makes sense considering how you've been walking on water, like you're Jesus Christ himself. Concentrate on that feeling, Rose. Rose did what she was instructed. She tapped into her ability over water as a water blade shot forward, chopping down several boulders in the nearby in the area that's in the water. As Rose started to pant, as she's out of breath. Rest now. Rest for now. We'll move on. After Rose recovered, it only took her a couple seconds to do so. After all, she's constantly feeding off of the light of the sun. She's part plant, after all. Much like her mother. As Floronic Man, move on. As he pointed at a nearby boulder, I want you to strike that boulder with your fist. Rose walked over to the large boulder that was larger than herself. As she struck the boulder in the middle, the boulder immediately started to crack. Then the boulder suddenly exploded outwards. Floronic Man, inner thoughts. To think the daughter of Ivy would be this strong. Her physical strength alone is far more superior than Poison Ivy herself. And the brat's only beginning to grasp her ability. There is a good possibility her physical strength will only grow as she grows. She's extremely dangerous, but easy to manipulate. As long as I could get her to be fond of me, I won't have any worries of her turning on me, like that bitch Poison Ivy. Excellent work, Rose. As Floronic Man placed his hand over to her right shoulder, as Rose beamed up at Floronic Man with a smile on her face. Did I do good? You did excellent. Now, shall we continue training, my dear? Yes. As Rose is very excited to learn more. Eager, aren't we? As Floronic Men start to chuckle. Floronic Man begins to teach Rose how to use nearby plants to create weapons, or animal-like plants, and control them. Rose had to start small, making small animal made of plants and wood. As Rose created small plant mouses, mixture between branches and plant life, shaping into a mouse-like body. Floronic Man even taught Rose how to control each plant life creation she makes. As the sun started to fall, as night started to officially begin, I believe that's it for now. Shall we go, little one? Where are we going? Teacher? Out of the swamp, for now. We'll return in the morning, as Floronic Man placed his hand over her shoulder as they both teleported away into a nearby vast forest near the swamp. As there's a large house basically like a large cabin in the middle of the forest that floronic man uses as a safe house since his death and rebirth. Much like poison ivy, he has ways to revive himself after death because of his powers and connection, or what connection he has with the green. After all, floronic man at one time was the avatar of the green, before he was ultimately defeated by Swamp Thing and killed. Come on, it's getting late. As they entered a large cabin-like house to see the inside of the house that had plant life growing everywhere. Pick whatever room you want. As Rose began to explore, eventually finding a room that had nothing but dirt in it inside. So Rose created a eclipse flower in the middle of the room, not too big, but big enough for her to fall asleep on. As she climbed on top of the flower and lay down, while the flower petals slowly begins to close, concealing Rose inside. As the eclipse flower began to grow black vines that begin to spread across the room in all different directions. And that's where we're going to stop it. I'll catch you guys in the next part.